Hey there, my name is Wilton, and this is for the course Materials Designed for Face-to-Face Environments. Today I'm going to talk about strategies and theoretical foundation for designing materials. What should ELT materials have? According to Tomlinson B. 2007, materials are resources that a teacher can use but not follow as a guideline, as a script, because we can depend of a material. The classroom changes, so we don't have to follow or a guideline, a material as a guideline. It is just a resource that we can use. Here I'm going to mention just 6 points that a material should have, from my opinion, and according to the reading. So the first one is material should be practical and tackle different types of text and themes for speaking, because if a person can write, if a person cannot practice, it is going to be impossible that that person get fluent in the language. The second one is that material should expose in an authentic way the target language, representing how the language is used in a real context. Because if we learn and we teach sentences, phrases, linguistic themes that are not useful when you are speaking or in a real context, it is not going to be meaningful. The third one is the material should provide real samples of the target language to students. And this is because when they are speaking in a real context, they need to remember previous words, and those words are going to be meaningful for them because they are applying them. Also, material should set achievable challenges, and this is because these challenges, when we get the challenges or the goals raised, our self-esteem is gonna get up. So this is really important, from my opinion. Also, materials should be relevant, considering the students' likes, because if a person likes what we are teaching, obviously that material engages the student. So this is really, really, really important and relevant for me, because if I don't like what I'm learning, I'm not gonna pay attention, and it is not gonna be meaningful for me. So and the last one is materials should encourage the inner speech and developmental strategies in students. This is really, really, really relevant, because in our real life, when we are using our first language, we have inner speech because of making some decisions, because we are thinking about a situation, because we are thinking about a person. I don't know, different topics, but inner speech is really important, because inner speech helps you to give order to the words, and it is really, really useful for learning and teaching. So materials should have activities that promote the inner speech in students. Principle of language acquisition 1. This approach focuses its attention on providing experience to learners through writing and spoken resources in relation to different kinds of activities to make information meaningful. Authenticity is quite relevant, since this information in the activities have to be exposed like the language is typically used in a real context. The meaning of the language depends of its context, so that it is important to make sure that the language is contextualized. Principle of language acquisition 2. Relate the context on which you are working and create activities encouraging students to analyze about the reading and listening to, as well as thinking about how do they feel, are feeling, and did feel during the class. Principle of language acquisition 3. The resources has to be relevant and interesting to motivate the students to learn. Raise clear and achievable goals which help the students get up their self-esteem when they accomplish the academic purposes. Stimulate emotional responses using variety of resources such as music, films, arts, literature, and so forth. Principle of language acquisition 4. Recreate activities where the learners use inner speech related to the test worked. Motivate the students to imagine and use inner speech to solve many problems and tasks. Principle of language acquisition 5. Students learn without paying attention on any particular feature of the language. So this learning is unconsciously. Encourage the students to make discoveries for themselves, solving many problems, and they has to pay attention on the mistake for themselves. That is a meaningful learning process. Principle of language acquisition 6. Provide environments where learners can use the language accurately, appropriately, and effectively. Also make sure that students are using language, not practicing many features of it. They are just practicing. They are just using the language in a real context, not paying attention on some rules, structures, or grammar. And it is important feedback in materials because this helps them to acquire the outcome intended.